Good morning, everybody, and welcome to just checking my sound levels. Welcome to another edition of E.W. Jackson for America. I'm with you live today. It's Friday. I've been away most of the week. In fact, I've been away all of the week because I've been down in Atlanta visiting with my granddaughter, and what a wonder it was. Of course, we did get held up. No, well, actually, no, I guess I was with you on, I think I was with you on Tuesday morning. Because we got, no, I take that back. No. We planned to fly down on a Sunday, and the plane got canceled. The flight got canceled, and then we ended up leaving on Tuesday morning. On Mondays, as always, the sermon from the Sunday before. But I'm with you live today, at any rate. And I'm really excited about this program today because this is my July 4th, my Independence Day program. Because, of course, I will not be with you on Independence Day, the holiday. And on Monday, you'll be seeing the sermon from Sunday. I will be preaching a patriotic message on Sunday. Well, look, you all know that E.W. Jackson for America, I converted it to E.W. Jackson for America because I wanted to promote patriotism. I wanted to promote love of country again. In fact, let me see if I can find E.W. Jackson for America, easy to come by. And let's see. Oh, I thought the mission statement was right here. But I don't know whether you've been to the website, E.W. Jackson for America. If you haven't, check it out. Okay, check it out. Let's see. Where is the... here we go. Our mission, E.W. Jackson for America, our mission is to promote patriotic unity across America. Our vision is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There you go. That's what's on the website. And then it goes on to explain why the website exists and so forth. And I decided I wanted to dedicate this program to helping to increase American morale because, folks, when a country loses its sense of morale and its sense of itself, that country is in deep trouble. It is subject to all kinds of forces coming against it and ultimately bringing it down. That's what happened to France before World War II. They were demoralized between World War I and World War II by a bunch of scholars who decided that France wasn't important, the global order was, and that there ought to be less emphasis on France and more emphasis on globalism. We had a president like that, Woodrow Wilson. In fact, I think Woodrow Wilson and Barack Obama were very much alike in that regard, and both of them were terribly destructive presidents as far as I am concerned. And by the way, neither of them, in my view, had any real patriotism. As you know, Woodrow Wilson was enamored of the Ku Klux Klan. He was enamored of the British Parliament system. He didn't even like the American system of government. So as far as I'm concerned, Woodrow Wilson is a waste of a president. But Barack Obama is just the same. He didn't. He also was sort of romanticized Europe and tended to denigrate America. We need to be more like them. No, thank you. But we're Americans. They need to be more like us. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the whole world needs to be more like us. But at any rate, check out EWJacksonForAmerica.com. And what I want to talk about today, of course, is we've been taking polls now since about 2000. When I say we, Gallup primarily, been taking polls about American patriotism and what people think of the country. And in the most recent poll, they found that patriotism is declining. Since 2021, 43% of Americans were proud, less than a majority in 2021 were extremely proud to be American, and in 2023 that number is down to 39%. So it's declining. I mean, that's a full 4% drop in 2 years, and folks, that's significant. If you look at their poll report, they go into details into the meat of the poll and some of the questions that I guess the internals, some of the questions that they were asking people. And it's very, very interesting, folks. The decline in patriotism has been across the board, both Republicans and Democrats. But Democrats are far less patriotic, generally speaking, than Republicans. And that, here again, folks, it is a sad fact. I have to believe that rank and file people don't agree with this, but the elites of the Democrat Party are globalists, they're godless, and they simply don't have any real love and affection for our own country. What they have is love and affection for their vision of what America ought to be, which is a sort of Marxist, socialist, globalist nation in which the government pretty much can do anything it wants to do, and that it should be unrestrained by the Constitution. You know, when Justice Ketanji Brown, in response to the decision on Harvard and University of North Carolina affirmative action, which handed down, I think, yesterday, but she said that the majority decision striking down affirmative action based on race, she said, was a let them eat cake attitude. Now, I'm sure you all know that let them eat cake is famously attributed to Marie Antoinette during the Cultural Revolution, or just before the Cultural Revolution. Of course, Marie Antoinette and King Louis were ultimately beheaded. And her use of that reference, as if this decision shows the same kind of callous disregard that Marie Antoinette had for the hunger of the French people, she said, well, let them eat cake. Her attitude was, oh, there's plenty. No, the people were starving. And it was just a callous, cold attitude because, of course, she had plenty of cake and anything else she wanted to eat. But that was a very, very wicked revolution, and what they replaced the king and queen with was far worse than what they had before, because they spilled the blood of thousands of French people in the guillotine, affecting this French Revolution. So that reference I find very interesting, because here again, I've said this before, we are in a cultural revolution. And her expressing that attitude to me, here again, this is not an uneducated woman. She may be stupid, but she's not uneducated. Yeah, and I mean that, because she is stupid. Anytime somebody asks you what a woman is and you can't explain that, you're stupid. You may be intellectually well educated, but you're stupid. So she's not unmindful when she uses that reference. At least I hope she's not unmindful when she uses that reference. It's harking back to the French Revolution before they cut off the head of the woman who said it. And she's likening us as Americans in the Supreme Court decision, which basically says you cannot use race as a factor in admissions. You cannot do that. And by the way, they didn't say you can't use the totality of a person's circumstances, which will include if they've been the victim of racial discrimination or poverty or hardship, or they've come through an abusive family, whatever. The totality of those circumstances can always be considered when you're evaluating the achievements of a person in life. They're not saying that you can't be. What they're saying is you can't check the box black and, oh, well, that gives you an automatic advantage. I had somebody on my radio program, a caller into my radio program, who was making the point that affirmative action was needed and the Supreme Court got it wrong and so forth. And I said, let me ask you this question. Robert Smith is a black billionaire. He's the black billionaire that gave $40 million to the Morehouse graduates to pay off all their school loans and debts and tuition and all that. $40 million. I just wrote a check. Boom, done. Because he's a billionaire. But he's black. And I said, so if his child applies to a college, and here's another child who happens to be an American of European ancestry, he applies, but he comes from a situation of poor parents, single parent family, maybe his mother is on methamphetamines, or his father's a heroin addict or whatever. So he comes in that circumstance, okay? They're both straight A students. This kid overcomes all of that to excel academically. And this black kid excels academically, but he's known nothing but the best. Everything he's ever wanted has been provided to him because his father's a billionaire. I'm saying, so you still think he ought to get an advantage because he's black? Yes. That was his answer, yes. See, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because this kid over here, this white kid, has overcome enormous obstacles. But that's not to be considered, or at least not to be given as much weight, as the fact that this kid has dark colored skin, even though he's had nothing but advantage and privilege. I mean, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. But the Democrat Party has got an anti-American attitude. Their attitude is, again, that America is just fundamentally flawed. So let me go through a couple of things for you in terms of reasons why we are declining in patriotism. And this is just a few. You can probably come up with more. The whole flag kneeling movement. Because as I always said from the very beginning, this was not about police brutality. This was about an attack on America. This was about saying America was fundamentally flawed, fundamentally racist. And Colin Kaepernick has since confirmed that. And people were denying, oh, no, it's not about that. Of course, that's what it was about. The man hates our country, yet it's made him quite rich. And he stays here, but he hates the country. He said he's partnered with Marxists now because capitalism can't save America. Capitalism can't liberate the black community. But I tell you what, it's done very well for him. This flag anxiety. People saying the flag represents racism. The flag triggers me. The flag makes me afraid. All this kind of talk by these Democrat leftist elites. I see the flag. It warms my heart. I've been working for a year and a half or so because my flag got bent in a windstorm, and I had a hard time finding somebody to get me a good sturdy pole and resurrect my flag. And come Monday, my flag will be up again in my yard, and I am thrilled about that. Because folks, I am not exaggerating, and I'm not saying this for effect. I sometimes will go to the window, just look out at my flag flying in my yard, and just smile because of what it represents to me. But you got these people saying, oh, I see the flag. It makes me anxious. Well, that's because you're an idiot. Critical race theory, which says the country was founded by racists for slavery and so forth. That undermines patriotism. Barack Obama undermined patriotism. He just said recently in talking about Tim Scott that black conservatives, of course he called them African-American conservatives, want to validate America. Of course, we're citizens of our country, dum-dum. Forgive me, folks. I mean, because, it's your country. What do you mean they want to validate? So basically what he's saying is, if you're black, you shouldn't validate America. Because he doesn't validate America. I said this before, I'll say it again. Barack Obama was, I used to say the first, I'm thinking Woodrow Wilson might be one too. But he certainly was one, if not the only, one of only two presidents who actually had demonstrated he had no affection for his own country, no love for his own country, no attachment to his own country. I said that's what fed the whole he wasn't born in America thing. It wasn't race. It was his attitude about the country that made people think, is this guy really an American? I never doubted that he was born in our country. I thought that matter was settled fairly early, but I understood the sentiment that produced those questions. because to me, he didn't act like an American. He didn't think like an American. He never seemed to take his country's view. So in fact, I heard a commentator say about his recent comments, he always seemed to be the outsider looking in on this behemoth called America with a critical eye. The Black National Anthem, I mean, perfectly good gospel song. Lift every voice and sing. Now suddenly that's the Black National Anthem. Well, why do you need a Black National Anthem? We have a national anthem that unifies the entire country. You got to have the little tribal anthem now? No. We don't sing. The same thing with Juneteenth. I mean, labeling Juneteenth as an Independence Day. It's not an Independence Day. I mean, that's bad history, and it is certainly bad social and cultural policy for our country to be once again setting up a separate silo, segregating people. Well, if we need a Juneteenth because July 4th is not a legitimate Independence Day, Colin Kaepernick said he would never not celebrate July 4th. I heard a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, that's a broad generalization, but I've heard a number of people say, I'm not celebrating July 4th. My Independence Day is Juneteenth. Well, folks, do you realize where all that is leading us if we continue to follow that path? What did Jesus say? A house divided against itself cannot stand. You know why it cannot stand? Because the people divided against each other bring it down. That's why it can't stand. The Democrat Party, as I've said, is a party of anti-Americanism now. They are the party of anti-Americanism. I've called them the party of Antichrist. They're also the party of anti-Americanism. Our educational systems, teaching our children now not to love their country, but to think with their country, to look upon their country with disdain. And of course, when we Christians express love for our country, as you all have heard me say many times, I love our country because I really believe it is a gift from God. And it's to me personally, but as well as to you. And I am a steward of this wonderful gift that God has given me, that's given me freedom and opportunity and hope and the ability to fulfill my God-given potential. I love this country, but because I love God, and I believe God is the one who put me here and placed me here and opened the doors of opportunity for me here. But of course, we're called Christian nationalists for that attitude. And once again, I'll just say, perverse nationalism, which they want to liken us to, which is what Adolf Hitler and Mussolini participated in, meant the whole world should be your slaves, the whole world is your enemies, and you should preside atop the world and turn everybody into your subjects, your sycophants, your servants. Look, healthy nationalism is simply this. I love my country and I want the best for my country. It's not because I hate other countries. I do hate ideologies that I think are bad for people and bad for the world, but it's not that I hate other people. Loving America doesn't mean, well, I hate the Chinese, I hate the Africans, I hate the Indians, I hate the Australians. No, it doesn't mean any of that. It simply means I love my own country and I want the very best for my country. And there's nothing wrong or unhealthy or immoral or racist about that. But of course the left wants to pervert it and make it something that it's not. The whole thing that patriotism itself is racist. That patriotism is just kind of a racist dog whistle. Well, I mean, here again, I've said jokingly, you haven't lived until you've been called a black white supremacist. Because that's how silly this stuff is. I love my country. I am a patriot and proud of it. And it's not because I'm racist, because I'm not, against anybody. And the polls show, for example, the least proud Americans are Democrats ages 18 to 34. Makes sense, doesn't it? Now, here's some reasons for patriotism. And then I want to tell you about this event I've got coming up on the 14th and urge you to come. Freedom, individual liberty, not this collectivist counterfeit that the left is trying to sell us. that you're free as long as you're espousing the viewpoint we want you to espouse. No. Individual liberty. See, that's what the Supreme Court decision was all about. Every young person who applies to college should be looked upon as an individual, not as part of some group, but as an individual. Look, if you do that and you take into consideration people's achievements as well as what they've had to overcome to reach those achievements, you're going to have a diverse campus, or certainly going to be more diverse than if you just start checking boxes and saying, well, we got to have so many of these and so many of these and so many of these. I mean, that doesn't produce diversity. That produces division and resentment and hatred. I mean, one of my callers suggested, it might be good to discriminate against Asians because of China. I said, no, we don't do that here. I've got a frozen screen. Oh, there we go. Okay. I said, no, we don't do that here. We don't do that in America. Now, the issue of Chinese nationals coming into our country in our universities, that's a separate matter because that's a national security issue. That has nothing to do with being Asian. That has to do with being a potential representative, and it may be even a potential spy of a foreign adversary. That's an entirely different matter. And of course, we have to look at those people and we have to vet those people, and we have to create some restrictions on those people because we know that China is busy trying to establish hegemony over the world. And part of that requires putting America down. And one of the ways they do that is to infiltrate us from within because we have the freedom that their country doesn't have. You're not going to China and infiltrating there because you're not getting in. But here, we let everybody in. That's an entirely different matter. And that's not based on race. That's based on realpolitik. That's based on the circumstances of our times and the need to protect our national security. Plain and simple. People don't like that, they can lump it, but that's the way it is. So let's then talk about why should we be patriotic. So let me give you some of the things I came up with. Freedom, right, the individual liberty, that's the first one. Opportunity. I mean, I and Tim Scott and it's not just racial, by the way. I mean, there are lots of people from different backgrounds, from European ancestry or Indian ancestry, who come through horrendous circumstances to achieve great things in life. See, that's why this racial box checking is so inappropriate. Look, folks, this is something that the left doesn't want to tell you. But as a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ, I am duty bound to tell you, everybody has struggles. Everybody has problems. Everybody has pain. Everybody goes through something. I just used the example of Robert Smith. I don't know that he has any children. I'm just using that as an example that his child is a child of privilege. That's true. But that doesn't mean Robert Smith hasn't had problems. Wealthy people have cancer. Wealthy people have family members go off the rails. Wealthy people have accidents. I mean, look, we live in a fallen world, and bad things can happen to all kinds of people and do all the time. We ought to be looking, that's why it's important to look at the individual, not the category or the race or the tribe, if you will, to which they belong or to which we ascribe their membership. Prosperity. We're the wealthiest nation on earth. Our poor people live better than many middle-class people do in other countries. I'm reading a book now on mining cobalt in the Congo. For people, children, ages 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, work 10, 12 hours a day digging out cobalt so that you and I could have cell phones, living very short lives, breathing in all of that toxic dust, sometimes being exposed to uranium that creates cancer, and doing all of this stuff for $1 a day. $1 a day. Often starving, trying to make ends meet, and trying to make ends meet. Forget that. Trying to feed their families. You know, we Americans forget how blessed we are. Our heritage. I'm not going to be able to finish all this because I'm 5 minutes away, but I may go a little bit over. But our heritage as Americans. You know, I hear all this anger against the founding fathers. They've been dead for 200 plus years. And they were born in an era of slavery all over the world. Not just the African slave trade, but slavery everywhere. It wasn't even questioned morally until William Wilberforce and then later our founding fathers questioned the morality of it and concluded that it was insupportable as a moral matter. You didn't see that happening in the Middle East. You didn't see that happening in Muslim countries. Hasn't happened in Muslim countries to this day. I mean, they still have a caste system in India. And the lowest caste are like slaves. So we have a wonderful heritage from some truly brilliant and inspired people which laid the groundwork. They were imperfect. The country they built was imperfect. It continues to be imperfect, but it's better than any place else in the world because they built it on such a solid foundation. And they built it on such great virtues, not just momentary values, but great virtues. So American exceptionalism is part of that foundation, which is what? Our rights and our freedoms don't come from human beings. They come from Almighty God, and governments are instituted among men to secure those rights. Right? And individual liberty is the inheritance of every human being. And as an American citizen, our government's job is to protect those rights, not to do whatever it thinks is a good idea, not to try to be God, chief, cook, bottle washer, mother, father, but to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, which secures the rights of the people and serves the people, doesn't try to turn the people into their servants. That's American exceptionalism. World War II, our fight against Nazism, our fight against Islamic terrorism. Who led the way? We did. The stand against communism, the courage of our warriors, all the graveyards around the world where our former soldiers and Marines and airmen lie, having given their all, what Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion for our liberty. The Christian culture of our country. We are a Christian nation culturally, and that's allowed us to be the most prolific nation for the promotion of the gospel of Jesus Christ of any nation that's ever existed. There's a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot to be patriotic about. The first, the second, the amendments of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights that protects you and me from an overreaching, over-encroaching government. In fact, this recent Supreme Court decision was based on their understanding of the 14th Amendment, which gives equal protection of the laws, guarantees equal protection for every single American, regardless of the color of your skin. And that doesn't work when you're telling some people, based on the color of your skin, you can't come in. Based on the color of your skin, you can't. That's not equal protection. How about of course, the Declaration of Independence laid the groundwork for the Constitution. The creativity, the invention, the achievements the compassion and generosity of the American people. Do you know we're the most generous country in the history of mankind? Americans give more to charity at home and abroad than any other nation that's ever existed. How about our ability to self-correct? We haven't gotten everything right, but I tell you what, we keep striving to do so, to make this a more perfect union. And look, here again, this is the beauty of our country. You all know, I don't agree with this homosexual movement. I don't agree with this gender-bending craziness that's going on right now and approaching our children. But I'll tell you what, I will defend their right to espouse their viewpoint as long as they're not breaking the law. Now, here again, you start seducing children, as far as I'm concerned, you're breaking the law. As far as I'm concerned, you ought to be locked up. Not just shut up, but locked up. But in terms of espousing a viewpoint that I disagree with, I support your right to do that. That's the beauty of this country. I don't like what you have to say, perhaps, but I support your right to say it. I believe we got to come back to the ethic. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And we got the left trying to sell something different, which is, if I don't agree with what you say, I will kill you to stop you from saying it. That's not the America that our founding fathers laid the groundwork for. That's not the America that God gave us, and that's not the America that you and I want. But that's what the left wants. We patriots have got to take a stand. So finally, let me just tell you about this event we're having on July the 14th. Look, depending on where you are watching me right now, you may not be able to come, but would you pray for us? It's going to be a very, very important moment. It is a 2 Chronicles 7:14. That's why we're holding it on July the 14th, 7:14. A 2 Chronicles 7:14 patriotic rally to secure America's future. America's future cannot be secure without God. We must return to God if we want to prosper and we want to remain a shining city on a hill. We must. There's no other way around it. Everything else is rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It's just that plain and simple. It's going to be at the Richmond Marriott, 500 East Broad in Richmond, Virginia. It is a national rally. People from all over the country are coming. I hope you will come too. Certainly people here in Virginia, I expect to be there. It is going to be it's going to be a momentous, and it's going to be an historic occasion. An historic occasion. There's a reception, fellowship at 6 o'clock. The program will start at 7. Put it on your calendar. Make arrangements to be there. We've got a block of rooms reserved for those who want to come and spend the night. But I guarantee you, you won't regret it. You won't regret it. It will be a night to remember. That's Friday, July 14th, 7:14, 2 Chronicles 7:14, patriotic rally. So, and by the way, let me also remind you, I don't have a book nearby right now, but my book is available. I will have books at the rally too, of course. Wherever I go, if I'm speaking to people, I always have the books available. I will have books available there, but my book is a patriotic book, Sweet Land of Liberty, Reflections of a Patriot Descended from Slaves. You can get the book wherever books are sold. You can get it at a 15% discount through my publisher. That is faithfultext.com, faithfultext.com. That's Fidelis Publishing, faithfultext.com. I would encourage you, if you've got a home group, you've got a Sunday school, you got a men's group, you got a women's group, any group at all, and you're looking for something that's biblically centered to read. You got a book club. I would urge you to get my book. My publisher will make it available to you at a discounted rate if you're going to buy in bulk. And we have people doing that, buying 50 books at a time, 100 books, 200 books, 300 books at a time, in order to use for some group or event or something that they're doing. We want to just get the book out. Look, I didn't write the book to make money. I wrote the book because I want to save this country. I want to be a part of helping to save America. That's why I wrote the book. So I hope that you will take advantage of that. And you can also stand as a Patriot partner with a gift of $25 or more, and I will send you a signed, numbered copy of my book. I think we're pretty much caught up. We might have a few that are outstanding that I need to sign and send, but we're pretty much caught up. So if you are looking for a signed, numbered copy of my book, that's the way to get it. Of course, I sign them. They won't be numbered, but I'll sign them at any of these events that I do. So if you show up at an event that I'm doing, I'll be happy to sign the book. In fact, I gave a book to every graduate at Grace Christian School, just gave them a book because I wanted them to have it and hoped that it would have an impact on their thinking. So, look, God bless each and every one of you. I love you. I'm praying for you. And folks, I hope that July 4th is going to be one of the most wonderful July 4th events you have ever had. Now, let's see, to 226, I lose track of the days. What is this? 24, 23, 47, right? 247 years? Is it 247? I think it is, isn't it? No. It's not 247 because it won't. Oh, no. It is 247. Yes, it is. It is. That's right. That's right. In 3 years, it'll be 250. Right? I think I got that right. Yeah. So wow, this is big. It's big. We're marching toward a milestone, right? Because 2026 will be 250 years. We are marching toward a milestone. So the 247th birthday of the United States of America. What a time it's going to be, folks. What a time it's going to be. So I hope that you will celebrate it, and no apologies, no inhibitions, trepidations. They can call us whatever they want to call us. They can call us racist, white supremacist, Christian nationalists. They can call us whatever they want to call us. We still love them, pray for them, but we love our country, and we're not apologizing for that. And we're going to preserve this country as the land of the free and the home of the brave, no matter what they say. By the grace of God, we intend to do that. With His help, only with His help can we do that. So you enjoy your July 4th celebration and just have a wonderful time. And in spite of the fact that patriotism is declining, you teach it to your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and make sure that you pass on a legacy of love of country. Do not forget the ancient landmarks which your fathers have set. And blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. You teach those things to your children so they understand, and they can pass it on to their children, and they understand what it means to be a patriot and why we love this country. If people want to make us a racist nation, a racial nation, we are not. We're a nation of principles, a nation of ideals. We're a nation of godliness. That's what makes us the greatest nation in the history of mankind. So look, I will be back with you live on Wednesday, and because the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, are holidays for me. So I'm going to have an opportunity to rest and get some work done that I really need to get on. In fact, part of what I'm going to be doing is, particularly on Monday, part of what I'm going to be doing is making sure that everybody I can turns out for this patriotic rally, because I just think America must come back to God. That's the key to our success in the future. And without that, the rest is just rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic. So God bless each and every one of you. That's going to do it for me today. I'm 9 minutes over. But look, you stand up, step up, speak up, and refuse to back up, because we cannot be defeated if we will not quit, because we are on God's side. Happy 4th, everybody.